Yo, what's up everybody? It's Six with my boy Nick Huff. About to break down Everybody Dies off of Young Sinatra.
Everybody Dies. How did this one come about?
Yo, this might be my favorite one
really?
On the album.
Man, there's so many bangers. It's hard for me to...
I think I listen to this like the most.
What makes this one your favorite?
Shout out to Kanye. On Yeezus, he would just like throw in random instrumental breaks. In the beginning of the song, maybe like halfway through a verse, like an outro, like a beautiful outro. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. And shout out to DJ Khalil. Both our homies right there. Shout out Khalil.
Much love to Khalil.
I always go to him because he like can channel some 1960s like Western score, like anything to like symphony, whatever sound you want. And I called him up, was like, yo, I need like some Western Kill Bill, just sonics, like, you know. And he was like, cool, I got you, bro. And then ended up sending me just this crazy...
Does he send you like a pack, or he just sends you like something very specific like this?
Something very specific, yeah.
So he
like
knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, we like curated it perfectly, you know, and he just has that, man, just that ear, you know what I mean? So I was like, I need some just for like the first 10 seconds, and we're gonna cut it off. And I sent him a version of it where I kind of did it, like the intro, but not to like the crazy Khalil standard. So there was like a reference track, you know what I mean? And he just took it to another level though. Just that. And for some reason, just going into that,
it sets it off.
Sets it off for something. It's like you just get hyped because you could just start it off with just. But there's something about the intro going into it that it's like, oh shit, get ready, it's about to go down. So that was really fun to do, and I really like wanted to do that on purpose, and I think we did it cool.
So you started the song with that, or you already had parts of it and then brought that to the beginning?
So I think what I did was I made the main chunk of the beat, which I can go through. So for this, I started off with my boy Cubeatz. It's actually two dudes. They always send me like sample packs, loops, especially like, you know, it's crazy after we did our interviews and stuff, like so many people were starting to send me loops and stuff. It was great. Yeah, so keep sending those, like I love it. But Cubeatz, man, he's on everything. Travis Scott, Kanye, Drake, whatever, they're on it. So I was lucky enough for them to send me some stuff, and one of the loops out of like a pack they sent me was this crazy. And you could loop that and it would be hard, you know? But I was in my chopping, sampling mood, so I just put it through this thing called FL Slicer.
That's a plugin?
Yeah, just a stock Fruity Loops plugin, Fruity Slicer. And I chopped that up and I threw it in here, and it splits it up into keys. So you can play with it as much as you want. And I ended up coming up with this chop right here. Or something to that measure, and it ended up going like this. That has a dope bounce already, but I have to do something different with the drums. So I remember the first thing I did, honestly, was I had this sample, the melody chop that I did, and then I added these dope ass snares. So you can hear that, I'll play it. So sometimes like the snares take up a lot of the drum pattern, you know, a lot of time you just do like the, you know, just the snare on the 2 and 4, but for some reason I felt like doing that, you know, just kind of just came out of me, and then simple kick pattern with that. Ooh. Yeah. With that, I was like, all right, we rocking now. But I know Logic, and he loves hi-hats and fast hi-hats, and where he can like the flow of his verse matches the velocities of the hi-hats and stuff. So I ended up creating this hi-hat loop right here.
So this is before he lays anything down.
Yeah,
this is just in your mind. You know that this is going to set him off to rap a certain way.
Yeah,
that's
man.
dope.
Because I just know him, man. Like, even when we're working together in the studio, I'll know he's going to say that at one point. So, you know, you got to throw it in there somewhere. Just because, like, that provides the movement, so I'll solo it.
That lets him change his flow up.
Yeah.
That's kind of like dope.
So with this, with the... It already sets like that double time, fast speed. So that with the... And then I added this. And that's just a cool, that's actually a cool snare that I made with like a vocal. That's like a grunt on it, you know? And just threw it at the end of the loop. That's kind of end of the loop. But like I said before, you know, I didn't really use 808s a bunch on this album. But for some reason, on this record, I think the melody, the chop that I had, it just brought the 808 out of me and came up with this pattern right here. It's almost kind of like some Tale of Two Cities, J. Cole. If you listen to that record again, the 808 is so hard. Kind of wanted to get that aggression out. So with that, combined with everything, you get this. But I still think it needed some variation, and you can hear it in the verse where basically I take out the sample. Added this crazy vocal I had.
You did this after he laid his verse or before?
Nah, this is all before, yeah.
Do you do anything after he lays, or is all your stuff pretty much finished before you get to?
As much as I would love to do stuff afterwards, it's just about the song right then and there and the emotion it is, because you can always overproduce a song, and Logic's really good at that too, like knowing when to just stop the song. And I think it was just one of those raw records where he just wanted to get some bars off, so it just focused on that. And
so like when you drop the sample,
yeah,
you're already thinking in your head, by this point in the song, he's gonna want to flip up his style, so I'm gonna drop it. So I'm gonna create some space for him to be able to switch his flow patterns.
100%. Even as a producer, though, you don't want to just be like repetitive the whole time. You want a little bit of switch up here and there, so it's like, you know, hills and valleys. So ended up taking out that main loop, and then just added this like vocal that I made, and then you pitch it up. That's kind of like some like Wu-Tang, you know, like. And with that, with the 808 and everything, and then I added these guys right here, and just chop that up, and I did all these drops too, like just to give the song like some variety, you know what I mean? He just went off, man, especially that second verse.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And
then you added like a little like textures too.
Yeah,
like there's like a little rewind I heard, a little like different things. Is that just once the song's done, you just go back and you just pepper a little bit of a seasoning?
That's just something that I just threw in there before too. Like, like I don't even know what that is. This is like actually, what is that? Let me check. Oh, it's like like a rewind almost, you know?
When I first
it says cap drop, so like a cap dropping. I don't know. Yeah, and then what is this right here? Yeah, just another like random vocal stab. Actually, this right here too. That's like super tucked in the beat. Yeah.
And that repeats?
Yeah, that comes in like. every 8 bars, every 4 bars.
What's that?
Yeah, that's like this other like, I feel like I chopped up some like airbrush, like spray can or something. It's really cool. It's just like somehow all these random sounds work together.
And do you have like a library of these sounds, or are you just creating them on the spot?
I'm creating them on the spot. I have like a whole library of stuff that I've had, you know, for 10 years. Yeah, it just, wherever, honestly, it takes me that day. There's no set, you know, way of doing stuff. It kind of just, honestly, you just stumble upon it organically, and you just let things happen and come to you. And like, sometimes I'll just like randomly just press like random stuff and see if it works with the beat. So yeah, trial and error.
Speak about that a little bit. I feel like I was watching the Quincy doc, and it reminded me of just like talking to him early on, and he says something that I think is really important that sometimes gets missed in the process of art. He's like, sometimes you just got to let room for the spirits, the gods, the inspiration, whatever you want to call it, to just speak through you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, you know, we're so focused on like, it needs to be this, that's like sometimes you got to pull back and just be like, yo, sometimes you just got to let it go through you.
It's definitely a spiritual thing. Like music, you can't compare it to anything else. And it's a higher thing that just takes over your body. So yeah, I agree with that. You gotta just let things come to you. And once you start thinking in like numbers, and it gets robotic. So I try to stay away from that. Yeah, and a lot of producers talk about that. Like I was saying, man, like The Alchemist, he always says he doesn't think about the beat he's gonna make. He just goes in, and the moment, like if he feels like chopping it up, he's just gonna do it. You know, there's no like thinking and double guessing. So that's kind of where I was at with this. Like, I wouldn't normally throw in like a cap drop.
Right.
But I was like, who cares? Like, it's not gonna make or break the song.
But it's a seasoning that makes it your own.
Little
like
seasoning here and there.
It's like the home cooking. It's like if you always cook something the same way, it's not gonna be the same.
Exactly.
It's like, depending what's on in the kitchen, you're like, today I'm gonna add a little bit of this.
It's so real, man. Yeah, like the little bit of like, a little bit goes a long way with certain things. So that's the same, that's a great analogy.
I mean, that's one of the things that I loved about Dilla too, is like the spontaneity of, you know, hearing the Robert Glasper story of how like the vent closed and you hear a clack when he closed the vent, and then it happened to be recorded. Oh yeah. There's like, I got to play.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, that's real talk.
Or like the needles like skipping when he goes to like find something else, but then keeping the skipping of the needle. It's a jazz way of doing stuff, right? It's like, hey, whatever happens, just throwing it into the mix because it happened for a reason, and now just run with it.
There's so many times where I've accidentally slid over a section, like a beat over, and it sounded way better than I originally planned it, and kept it. So yeah, like that stuff happens, and you got to go with it. If it sounds good, trust your ear.
Right.
If it sounds good, don't look at it. You know, once you start looking at it and seeing it as like, all right, like
this has to fall in this line.
No, just close your eyes and like listen. You know, so yeah, that's really a great point. Like The Return and this might have been done maybe in the same week or like a couple days, where bam, send him a beat, 2 crazy verses, send him another beat, 2 crazy verses, and that's how he is sometimes, where he just gets in that zone and you can just knock it out. You know what I mean?
I could tell when he's in that zone because I get a couple texts sometimes. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I just got a verse, and then the next day he's like, I got a verse. I was like, oh, he's already in that space. Where I
remember this one especially. Actually, it's great you say that, because he did hit me at like 5 a.m. I think, maybe earlier, like 4:30. And I didn't see my phone until like 7 or 8, but he was like, yo, can you send me that beat you were playing at my house? So he was hungry when he made this, and I guess you can hear it on the record for sure. Yeah.
I think people forget that sometimes. It's like, you know, the 1-800 Acclaim and like the One Day, and like there's these massive songs that are out there in the universe, but it's like, you know, he's still in the studio, he's still on tour, like he's still like, it's not like yo, I made it, like that feeling of like, nah, I got something to prove.
Yo, like being on tour, I'm sure we can talk about it, but being on tour, man, that was like the greatest thing, because we were all so hungry on that tour, this past tour, for some reason, because we had the studio bus, and literally, man, every day he was there, like he would perform for 2.5 hours. And then after the show, cook until the bus is moving, you know what I mean? So like that was like pretty awesome and motivating for me to just, I have no excuses, you know what I mean? And it made us so hungry. Like, I don't know why, it was just really fun.
Is that hard as a producer to be like, damn, I gotta constantly deliver because he constantly wants more sounds,
It's kind of cool, like, when I do make some beats and he kind of like picks everyone. That's kind of like what happened on tour. I was like making a beat and he walks in and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna rap on this, and then make another beat and he's like, oh man, like I'm gonna rap on this. So
you guys were just in sync.
Yeah, we were just in sync, and we get into that zone, that rhythm where it's like, you know, in basketball they say like everyone can go on a run, you know, you gotta capitalize on that run.
Right.
So I think we were both just like making that run, knowing we had the bus for 2 months, and yeah.
Do you ever get the opposite of the run? Do you ever like, you know, everybody shoots bricks. Do you ever like get like, damn, I need some inspiration and it's not coming to me?
Yeah, like that was tough. Like coming back from tour, I was kind of like that, where I didn't really know where to take the music after that, because we were doing indie rock stuff. We were finishing up this. We were doing, you know, the next stuff that were coming out. So when I got home, I was like, how can I really push myself and to get Logic to create something fresh?
Right.
And that was definitely like, that's an ongoing thing, you know. Right. Beat blocks are real. They're so real. But now I'm at a point where if I have a beat block, man, I just won't even cook, you know.
So you allow that space to just.
Yeah. Not saying I was like not as hungry, but back then, man, I would like try to force it and like push through it. And I wasn't really making anything. So like you said, it has to come to you. Like whatever it is, the spirits, whatever, it has to come to you. And I think that's where I'm at now for sure. Just letting it rock. And even if I have beat blocks, it's cool. Not everyone can, you know, be good 100% of the time.
Nobody can. LeBron missed a shot. The best hitters in baseball don't get hit with 7 out of 10 times.
100%. 100%. It's human. It's normal. Yeah.
Is there something that you do? I mean, you said just to give it some time, but like, is there anything you do when you need inspiration? Do you go back and listen to music? Do you step out of music and watch movies or play games? Or like, what's that process like?
Yeah, like music for sure, like old music that I liked. Not even like hip hop, just like I'll listen to like Blink-182, like my favorite album from like 8th grade or something, you know? And then that'll slowly get me into, oh man, like remember I was listening to like this Ninth Wonder joint like back then? Remember I was listening to like when like old Wale, and that snowballs. And then you eventually get inspired. It does happen. You can't force it. And also, yeah, like documentaries. I love documentaries. I love interviews. Like I love just getting to know like how people's brains work and like how they make music and how they approach it. So interviews, documentaries, all that I love.
I'm sure there's somebody watching that you're inspiring them to go do some stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm like really happy we're doing this, because I'm that guy that loves to watch interviews.
I remember, it's funny, we talked about Khalil before, but a few years ago I'd done something similar with Khalil. And we just talked about that, and you had watched it, and you're like picking like, oh man, I'm glad you talked about the flugelhorns.
Flugelhorns,
like
man.
just nerding out, but it's like it's so dope to see how people are inspired by each other's work.
Yeah, I think nowadays too, like people are appreciating producers so much more than they were like, let's say like 5 years ago. Yeah. Like nowadays, like people know Metro Boom. People can name like 10 producers now, I think. Like you take Keith, Metro, Murder Beats, Southside, whoever. Like people know these names now, so which is really, really incredible.
The DJ and the producers have always kind of been the foundation of.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's really cool. Really cool time right now.
Iconic.